It does feel like they're just counting down the games now to the summer. Not much to play for. And I know people will say, well, there's Europa League and the Conference League that they could potentially go into, but that's not floating the boat of Messrs Ronaldo and Pogba or anyone else like that. So it's get to the end of the season quick, get a new manager in, new ideas, fresh approach, just change the course of what's happening at the minute. They were okay tonight, but not enough energy, not enough passion. I mean, we're on the back of a couple of unbelievable Champions League games that we've seen, Real Madrid against Manchester City, Liverpool playing against Real. I mean, the pace of those games, when you watch it, and then you watch Manchester United and how they're pressing, and it just, you think, wow, that's a different game that they're playing at the minute. They need new ideas and new ideas fast.
They could have took a hammering tonight. I thought they played better at Arsenal than they did here tonight. That first half was so lacklustre. Chelsea, chance after chance. If they take their chances, Chelsea, they're 3-0 up at half-time, and that place would have been booing from the rafters. They're a little bit better second half, but the only good thing I can see is they reacted after Chelsea got the goal. But Chelsea, let's look at Chelsea. They've got a cup final parked. OK, you could say, well, their incentive to, for places for that game, they're pretty safe in the top four. If they'd have lost tonight and they went on a terrible run, they might slip out there, but they won't. So they didn't have that much to play for in that sense. They weren't chomping on the bit. They need the 3 points to Champions League, next year. But look how they played. Their pride, their
manager demands.
Their manager demands. It was like he was in a cup final, in the Champions League cup final last year, the way he was going on the sidelines, because it wasn't what he wanted. There were certain finishes that he wanted better. The shape was good. Everyone put a stint. And when they lost the ball, they wanted to win it back. They hunted the ball together. There was an urgency about them. But they weren't really... It weren't as if they were having to go, well, we need the 3 points here tonight to stay in that top four. If not, we're going to miss out on a Champions League spot. So, to me, it's just an attitude that those players at United at the moment, they've got to look themselves in the mirror, because they were very close to getting a hammer in there tonight.
Yeah, they got away with one. Certainly in the first half. In the second half, they improved a little bit, but first half, they could have gone in a couple of goals down, and that would have been being kind to them. And then the whole atmosphere would have changed, and who knows what it would have been like.
When Alonso scored, not only we could see it coming, but was it just indicative?
Too early. Because there was somebody behind him. I don't blame him from going in and almost pinning the full-back in a little bit, because if it goes over his head, then there's...
Too hard either. The power was already on the ball coming over, and he's just had to get the technique right and deal with a bit of spin. Brought it back beautifully.
So the only surprise was that Chelsea didn't lead for longer than 119 seconds. But as we've said, when Ronaldo's about...
If they'd have gone 5, 6, 7 minutes, that crowd would have got restless. Yeah. It would have become the energy in that game would have been different. And I think Chelsea would go on. But the fact that they showed a bit of character, came back with a beautifully created goal and finish, that they got a point out of the game.
23 goals he's got in all competitions, cool. Cristiano Ronaldo now, in a team that are now going to have the lowest points tally in Premier League history for United.
Yeah. And listen, there's no question about it that the Ronaldo we saw 10 years ago is different to the Ronaldo now. Of course, that's not in any way, shape or form of criticism. We all get older. We all get a bit slower. But how he's defined his game, and now he's very much a penalty box player, a goal scorer. It's not easy just to go from one type to another. And OK, he's always scored goals, but he scored very different types of goals. He used to throw his legs over, do, step over, shoot from distance. Now he's very much a predator, goal scorer. And how you can be that good in two basically different positions that he's played, one out wide and then one as a centre forward, is quite stunning. And he's never ever lost that in front of goal. He just very, very rarely misses, and no wonder when that ball's coming over just then, if you just froze it, I would have said that's about a 20% chance he's going to score there. It's floating in the air, people are going to get back, the goalkeeper's going to rush at him. And then all of a sudden he takes one touch and it makes you think, right, he's 80% now. Everything he does increases his chances of scoring. And that's what great players do. That's the importance of a first touch. That's the importance of timing runs. That's the importance of these little tiny details of goal scoring, that when you're about to shoot, you've made everything as easy as you can for yourself. And at the end of it, he almost makes it an easy finish because he's so good.
I just want to ask you this, though, Glenn. If you're Eric Ten Hag tonight in the Netherlands, sitting on your sofa with your cup of tea, watching that game tonight...
Sorry, behind the sofa.
Very good. What do you do with this man when you take over?
Well, you've got to get... he's got to continue. Everyone's got to have his attitude.
Well, there's been some suggestions that he should go, that's why.
No, he's the best player they've got. Tonight, he was the only player that put a stint in. The other thing as well, 23 goals he's scored, this season. That is phenomenal, because I'll tell you why it's phenomenal. He's not had 90 chances created for him. His ratio is probably... I don't know how many chances he'd have had. There's no number there at the moment, but it's been limited because of the season United have had. So realistically, although he's 37, he's been a fantastic player and still is, he's probably had more chances in other clubs than he has this year, and he's still scored to 23. That's the key. It's a bit like when you went to Real Madrid.
He hasn't started.
Real Madrid, he was at Real Madrid. The minutes he had on the pitch was phenomenal how many goals he scored. So you've got to look at it a little bit deeper. He hasn't had anywhere near the chances created for him, but he finishes. A couple of hat-tricks have got them the points recently when they were playing just like tonight, poor. And suddenly he's the difference. And that's why I think this season he's been phenomenal.
Yeah, and I get why people question it. I get what people say.
Well, because when he hasn't started.
No, well, exactly. Oh, no, I've got no, there's not... I'm saying nothing bad about this fella. I mean, wow, what a player. But I do get why people are trying to look beyond, because he's not the long-term answer, of course he's not. I mean, but Manchester United, if you think of their history, really over the last few years, or last couple of decades, Wayne Rooney is the only player really that I can think of that they've gone, bang, bought someone young that's got longevity. Apart from that, you think of how many players of that ilk, Ibrahimovic, Larsson, even Van Persie at the end of his career. Now it's Ronaldo. They've bought top-class players right at the end, and they need to find that next one that can carry them for 10 years, and it's hard to find.
The only problem, Michael, for next year, Den Hag, is if he wants to come in and he wants to play the pressing game from the front and go for the throat and have his team really pressing high up in the pitch, that could be his only slight problem with playing Ronaldo. Can Ronaldo do that at 37? Can he put that in? Then he's got to sit Ronaldo down and say, look, you've got to give me 60 minutes. So his time is
all
less.
The best with that conversation.
Exactly. So then that throws a little bit of a googly in there. But you know what I'm saying? If he wants to play, so that's the only thing I think as a manager going and you think, well, tactically, how are we going to get the best out of him? He scored 23 this year and they haven't had a good season. But I still want him in my team. How are we going to go about that? That's the slight problem with him. Not that he doesn't want to do it. He just can't do that and expect him to score 23 goals plus. Probably going to score more. He can't do that pressing and doing what give you that and then go and score 23 goals so far. So you've got that's the slight conundrum that the new manager's got.
That's top of his list, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, listen, scoring goals, as we all know, players don't grow on trees that score big numbers. He does it. And that's the skill of a manager, isn't it? How can you balance it to get the best out of, to get him on the pitch? Because you're virtually guaranteed 25, 30 goals in a good team. Well, more than that in a good team. He's going to score 25, 30 in a bad team this season. So that doesn't happen often. You don't find players like that. So if I was Ten Hag, I'd be thinking, I can't ignore that. I can't ignore a guarantee of 30 goals in a decent enough team. I've got to work around it, and that's what good managers do. Not every situation falls into place exactly how you want it. You might have to play a different shape or whatever, or carry him in a certain way.
It's a bit of it's a real conundrum to me, because let's say that Fernandes and Pogba weren't at Man United, but they were coming to join Man United this next season with Ronaldo, and you think, God dear, he's got service now. He's going to get service left, right and centre. but it hasn't worked out like that. Those two players are made for him to create chances for him. But for whatever reason, and inside that camp, they'll know why, no manager's got that out of them. They've got the players there. That's what I scratch my head. They've got the players there. It's something's missing there, and I think it is that work ethic. You look at Liverpool, you look at City, you look at Chelsea, the pride of winning the ball back. The reason you work hard gives you more ball. If you want to enjoy the ball and you're a good side with the ball, you work hard to get more of the ball. Don't wait for the opponents to give you the ball. Win it back more. Work harder that way. You know what? you'll have the ball more, so you'll enjoy your game even better.
He's raising his voice like an old England dressing room now.
Oh,
isn't he?
yeah. He could do that.
When we come...